We made it. It's Thursday. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. It's Lockdown Series Volume 2, Episode 26, people. That's how long we've been together every single night. We're so happy to be back with you. And tonight we have a little spin and a difference. Let's go. It's been a great week on the show. We've had some amazing conversations that are really looking at the reality of the Arsenal, helpfully spawned by the legend that is Super Kevin Campbell. Welcome to the show.
Listen, it's good to be back. It's good to have everybody in the chat, and it's good to get James on. I can't wait for this because this is a little bit different.
It is.
You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to it. I don't want too much of it, Sophie, but I don't mind this one.
I'm handing the reins over to James at some point. James, welcome back to the show.
Evening. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited as well. Like I said,
awesome.
I've done 2 days worth of prep. I don't normally do this. I normally wing it every time. You read the comments.
I know.
For one of your listeners as well. Yeah, the beautiful woman is back down at the bottom. One of your listeners called me a beautiful woman the other night. So if they're in the chat, I'm back again. So
listen,
it's nice.
Our listeners are very eclectic. Before we get started with the show, some laundry items, of course. This show is sponsored by footballprizes.co.uk. 1 day left for you guys to win this Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang signed and framed Arsenal montage only. Go in and get your ticket. At the end of the show, I'm going to give away 1 ticket, but I'm going to ask a very important question, and you're going to have to email us at the Highbury Squad at gmail.com in order to win it. Okay, so make sure you're listening to the very end to be able to win a ticket to get into this footballprizes.co.uk auction. They're a great group. They do great things. And the good thing is that there's only limited numbers, so you have an actual chance of winning it. Okay, so stay tuned for that. A couple of other things I just wanted to rattle off real quick. We have a listener called Jason Parbury. His son reached out to me on Instagram, and this is what spawned me to actually reignite our Instagram, because we've been so focused on YouTube and building our YouTube channel. Jason Parbury's son, amazing kid, reached out and said that his dad had not been feeling well lately, and that he listens to the Highbury Squad every night, and the lockdown series has helped him get through the fact that he hasn't been feeling well. I love that his son reached out. He's a huge fan of you, Super Kevin Campbell. And I wanted to make sure that we sent some love, and the entire room tonight sent some love to Jason Parbury, who hadn't been feeling well, and the fact that the Highbury Squad is here to keep him comforted during his difficult time, Super Kev.
Well, that just sums it up in a nutshell. This is the reason why, Jason and family and everybody, this is why we do what we do, because we know it's difficult times. We know it's really trying for people, whether you're locked down or you're actually getting out and about, etc., to have something to look forward to have something of an evening what you can actually get involved in. You could comment, you could have some connection with like-minded people. I think that's really important for what we do. So it's an absolute pleasure to hear what I'm hearing. Thank you for being a fan. And thank you for joining us every evening that we're on. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you really enjoy this one, because this one should be a good one.
Absolutely brilliant. And thank you to Jason's son for reaching out. I'm sorry it took me so long to get back to you. And that's because another laundry list item today, the Highbury Squad is super launching their Instagram. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, please go and find us. We're Highbury Squad. We're going to be posting a lot more of snippets of our show, but we're also going to be giving you a bit of an insider view into the history and the nostalgia and the love of Arsenal. Super Kevin Campbell has been so gracious to share some of his pictures, and you saw what we did when it was his birthday. And he shared a lot of the history that he's experienced too. And we're going to be super launching that tomorrow with Super Kevin Campbell. And I think you guys will be intrigued and will love the first image that we're going to be sharing with you. So in essence, Jason Parbury and your son, you've given us and galvanized us to launch our Instagram in a true fashion that meets with the nostalgia and the love that the Highbury squad wants to appeal to. So please make sure you go over there and follow us, share it with everybody. We'll put something out on Twitter as well. And thanks to everybody who's sending messages as well to Jason in chat. And that's it. That's the laundry list. That's the agenda. And there's another agenda now. And it's all about the Arsenal, of course. And the question is tonight is, if Arsenal don't have a plan A, how can they have a plan B? So I called upon my friend James Johnstone here, who loves to get into the nuts and bolts of things and X's and O's of how Arsenal approach things. So I thought, what better way to execute this than to have James position his ideas and then have the legend that is Super Campbell either pick holes in it or agree with it. So right now I'm going to hand over to my good friend James, where we can talk about, do Arsenal have a plan A? If they do, fine. But if they don't, how can they even have a plan B? James, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So you've just done all the laundry and I've just knocked my spaghetti bolognese all over. It's got to go back in. Here we go. Get ready. It's messy now. So for me, I've done it all on who's here now, not in terms of on who's, the loanees. I've primarily done it on what we have now. I've also done it from position to position, and I've given what I'd say is my plan A, and then what plan B should be or can potentially be. So goalkeeper, this is going to be the quickest bit. This is easy, this position. It's Leno all day, every day. For me, Leno's eliminated some of the errors that he had at the start of the season. He put to rest most of that Martinez versus Leno debate that was going on, which was a bit unfair. I was like, he's left now. He give it a rest. Obviously, he had the clanger against Wolves. I think that was just a rush of blood. I think he didn't mean, obviously he meant to do it because he done it, but I don't think he, sets out to do those sorts of things. So he is, for me, plan A goalkeeper for every game as well. I know we haven't got many competitions that we're left in. We've only got 2. But yeah, for me, he's the best keeper, so he plays. Plan B now for me is Matty Ryan. The Renarson experiment for me failed. I think the guy was just lined up to be insulted and sledged due to the level that he's come from. He's come from French Division 2, and it's not like a Martinelli, where he come from the 4th Division of Brazil and he's a young player and can develop. This guy's 25, and he was dropped by Dijon, by the way. They classed him as second choice. So he got demoted from there, and then he's been put to Arsenal, where arguably, if you're second choice for Arsenal, you've got to have a little bit about yourself. And if he didn't have a bit about himself for Dijon in the 2nd Division of France, does he really have a bit about himself for Arsenal? I don't think so. I think as well, the signing just come across as inexperience from the manager and, again, his upper management team, because they don't back him with the finances. You spoke about this the other night. We've not got plethoras of money to spend on second choice goalkeepers, and who really does go out there and spend a lot of money on a second choice goalkeeper? I think, he was recommended by the goalkeeping coach who's there. They were desperate and they went, let's gamble. And it's a gamble that hasn't paid off. However, with Matty Ryan, I believe it's the same as the Cedric situation as last season, that we've got him on loan now, but his contract is up, I believe, in the summer. So I think we'll do the same there and we'll sign him. And what I would do, if I could, is take Matty Ryan's vocalness and his presence and instill that into Leno, because that's the only glaring weakness that Bernd Leno for me has, is that he isn't vocal enough. Over here, I know everywhere else, but you can watch the games without the noise on. When he has the ball or when he's in that goal, and especially for a German goalkeeper as well, he's awfully quiet. And when I've seen him do interviews, he's quite a shy and timid guy. Nothing wrong with that. But the defenders that we have, and obviously we'll touch on them in a minute, they need that person to bark. They need that vocal presence.
I love that.
James, one point I want to make just on the goalkeeper. This is not Leno, about Runnerson. as far as I'm concerned, Arsenal were trying to get an experienced goalkeeper in, but they couldn't get the deal done at the time. So what do? Do they leave themselves exposed and have one goalkeeper, or do they just get a body in? I think they just got a body in because he was there and available. I didn't think he was a first choice to come in or anything like that. And rightly, listen, 25 for a goalkeeper is still pretty young. Let's be honest. He can go out, whether he's good enough or not, down the road is a different story. But Arsenal Football Club without a second choice goalkeeper would be bad business. So they just got the body in, hoping, obviously, that nothing would happen to Leno. But they're gonna try him out. You know, they're gonna give him a game here and there, and it proved that he's not quite ready. Whether he ever will be ready, but I'm pleased that they made the move in January and brought Matt Ryan in. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Oh, no.
In case some of the people in the chat.
Can I throw this in too from Virginia, who always makes some smart comments? He had one bad game, and I think he's been killed a lot too. I don't know what you guys think of that. Like, it's very difficult to come in. Kevin talks a lot about how it's not easy to come in and wear the Arsenal shirt, especially where he's been, right, you guys? So he comes in, he's probably nervous. I'm nervous on a first day of a new job. You know, it's not easy. So I don't know if you guys agree with this or not. Like, we can't kill a player when he's come into the position he's come in, especially after we've let Emi Martinez go, especially after Leno has shown some super saver performances. I think you guys would agree with that, right?
Yeah. It's like I said, it was a gamble that hasn't come off. And like you said, at 25, that's still very young for a goalkeeper. So that's something that could improve. I don't see it. Honestly, me personally, I don't see it. And, you know, he backed him in his interview, and then the same day he dropped him from the Europa League squad. So I'm like, he's getting mixed messages there.
No, that's not mixed messages. I still can back you, but you're not good enough for the first team right now.
Right.
See, and again, this is what you must understand about being inside a football club, because sometimes what happens is when you look from the outside in, even as a fan, you think you know football. But what happens on the inside of the football club, I'm telling you, the fans will be like shocked of how it actually happens, how it works, the accountability factor, XYZ. If he's not accountable, if Mikel Arteta isn't accountable for Runnison, which he has been, of course he is. He signed him, but he had to get that body in. And I agree with you, Sophie. Runnison's probably come in and thought, bloody hell, I've come to the Arsenal.
I mean, it's like walking into the Taj Mahal, Casey.
Exactly. You know, it's a huge club with a huge history and a fan base that are all over the place at the moment because things haven't been going well within the club. He gets an opportunity, and let's be honest, he has a nightmare. Mm-hmm. He does. He has a nightmare. I think for the Arsenal fans, it's the way he played, not the fact that he had the nightmare, but it's the mistakes that he made were kind of basic. Free kick at him that went through his hands and all that kind of thing. These are the stuff that obviously turn the fan base. He's not good enough. Oh my God! Look at the goalkeeper, etc. So, you know, when you're Arsenal, when the spotlight's on you, let me tell you and the fan base who are in chat, it is like a furnace because you cannot get away from it. It's a magnifying glass where the sun's going through the magnifying glass and burning. Do you remember you used to do that at school?
Here in your head.
You used to do that at school. Listen, he's hot, man. So he's a young lad. I get it. He's 25. He's not too young, but for a goalkeeper, he's young. We got to cut a little bit of slack because remember, goalkeepers don't really start to mature until they're 30.
Right. And Matty Ryan's come in and done well in that game against Aston Villa. I think we'll agree. Yeah. All right, James, back to you. We'll do it position by position. Yeah. So I love this. Go on.
Yeah. So right back. I'm ready for the comments now. I'm ready.
Plan A.
Plan A. Plan A. Yeah. It's Hector Bellerin. It has to be Hector Bellerin. Reason being.
Plan A. For Plan A.
For Plan A. Yeah. He's had the most assists out of all our defenders this season. That's fact. Despite all of his glaring weaknesses, i.e. his lack of pace, I don't think he's a very good 1v1 tackler. Obviously, his crossing is questionable. But the boss has played with him previously. And trust is the hugest compliment, I believe, from any manager in any job to an employee. And he instills trust in Hector Bellerin, having been there with him, having played there with him. When he was young, he used to accommodate Hector Bellerin in his house. He had Hector Bellerin stay at his house for a bit with him and his wife.
I did not know that, James.
Yeah, he stayed with him he stayed with him to acclimatise. Also, with that, Hector Bellerin has had the captain's armband on recently. So again, that's more trust. But also, he's our players' PFA representative. So the players all got together and went, that's the guy we want to represent us in all the matters that are to do with the PFA. Kevin, you're probably more expert than me. I've never played in the Premier League. So
it doesn't quite work like that. It's not the players vote him. He's probably put himself up for it. And, you know, he wants to be PFA rep, which one player has to be. And the team has probably all looked at each other and said, okay, he's one of the senior players now, isn't he? So it kind of works for him.
He's the longest tenure player.
Yeah. So, you know, that works for him, obviously. And listen, I don't agree with plan A, but it's your plans. So you crack on, James.
I would love, James, I'm going to respond too, because before I do that, Patrice, Zambia in the house. Come on, you guys. Vote.
Global.
Zambia, love that.
Love that. But I would love us to buy a right back, and that's all I'm going to say. Carry on, James.
Yeah. So add to that as well, like I was saying about him being the representative, he's the one that had the main negotiations in terms of the pay cuts. So if we, this season, make no European football, they lose 12.5%. If we get Europa League, they lose 7.5%. If we somehow win the Europa League or get top 4, then they have no cut whatsoever. So they entrusted him to sort that deal out for all of them. So that's another, I believe, as well as the manager trusting him, the players like him and trust him as well. And then plan B is Cedric. I think he's a better crosser of the ball. I think he's a hugely underrated set piece taker. And if he is in the team, which he's going to be now because Tierney's injured, we've taken the 4th most corners all season. The last one we scored was in November. Get someone decent on the corners.
Wow.
Get someone decent on the corners.
James, I knew we were bad at corners and clearing that first defender, but wow, Casey, that is a shocking statistic, isn't it?
It's Arsenal at the minute. You know, I don't want to laugh.
Reality tonight.
I don't want to laugh or I don't want to seem, terrible like that. But it is us at the moment, isn't it? That's about right for us.
It's poor.
Yeah,
it's poor.
We've been poor.
Yeah. Keep going.
And for me, the ideal plan B for the summer, right back's a position that we need to buy hugely. Mm-hmm. And I would say, I know we're looking at Brighton for a lot. I've got a lot of Brighton here that we'll go on to later on. I mean, we're taking a goalkeeper from Brighton. I would say Lamptey, or if you're not going to get him, get, I believe I want to say it's Hakimi. I might be wrong in the pronunciation from Inter Milan.
You're right, Hakimi.
I'd get that guy if you weren't going to get Lamptey. It's one of them two. And then if you can move Hector Bellerin on, which could potentially happen because he does have suitors. We saw that in the summer, and he still does command a good value. Then I would say you play either your new right back or you stick with Cedric, because again, Cedric has the way we're playing at the moment with the crossing and the delivery. That's the guy compared to Bellerin. Bellerin isn't that guy, even though Bellerin's got the stats that prove otherwise. He isn't that guy.
All right, Casey.
No. That's listen.
You good with that?
And I get it. Look, there's obviously Cedric there. For me, I would have Cedric playing now because I think Cedric's a better defender, and I think Cedric offers more to the team right now. I think Bellerin, he's okay. He's been fine, but he's not the same player that he was. So that's just my take. But listen, I totally get your take on it, James. Yep, no problem.
Okay, so centre halves.
The $64 million one, right?
I know this is another one where I'm like, I can see the comments are going to come. I can see them before they're being typed. Plan A. Currently, for me, Rob Holding has to start. The last 2 games, I feel he's had 2 bad errors. I think he should have done more to help Louise versus Wolves. And I feel that he should have done better at Villa as well. Cedric put him in the mess, but Holding should have done more to, I think it was you, Kevin, who said
KC
Watkins' eyes lit up thinking, look at this, look at the space. I've got all time in the world.
I would love to see Aubameyang and Lacazette have that kind of space in the box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
KC made that point, and there was a lot of comments that came through saying, well, if Cedric hadn't made that pass, then Holding wouldn't have been in that position. But the problem is that if you hold your right position from the get-go, then you don't create that mess. So it's interesting that you agree with KC in that it was Cedric's fault, of course, but the defender has to be in the right position. And this is where I feel he benefits more from playing with a Pablo Mari versus a David Luiz.
Yeah, I mean, every action has a reaction. So
correct.
Obviously you see that mistake happening, you think, oh, Lordy, I better switch on. And yeah, he didn't, and we got caught. But Rob Holding this season for Arsenal, he's had the most clearances. He's had the most headed clearances. And he's, funny enough, got the most assists from all our defenders.
Listen to this, guys.
Wait, James.
I know KC said he's going to do that. Everyone's like, why is KC putting his hand up? Because before we came on air, KC said to James, if I don't agree with you, I'm gonna let James get on with it. But listen to what he's saying about the stats, guys. This is the thing about Pepe too. On the eye, you may think he's not doing well. He's not playing enough. He's not getting involved because the ball away. He dribbles too much. He doesn't pass when he should. But if you look at the data, the analytics and the stats, he's the second best at conversions, assists, etc., etc. So that's a brilliant stat with Holding, James. I don't think a lot of Arsenal fans know that.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. So for me, the only glaring weaknesses that I see in Rob Holding is the same for a lot of Arsenal players, is mobility. And also added to that, I feel he's a centre-back that needs to be guided, like you've said, Sophie. I think Gabriel is excellent, but Holding does play better with Mari. And apart from that Wolves game, he plays better with David Luiz. And that's because in the centre-back too, he is what I would say is the Toure, but he needs the Campbell. So he's not the better of the two. He's still very good, but he needs someone to guide him. He's the Lescott, not the Vincent Kompany. That's how I see Holding. So I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I think plan A at the moment, Gabriel's amazing. Gabriel's a sensational signing, one that Arsenal have needed for absolutely ages. However, he is struggling after he's been sick, which I don't blame him to. That's just common. That's going to happen. I don't know how well his grasp of English is since he's come in, which could play a factor. And like you said, when he was with Mari, I think he played better. And going on to Mari now, I think Mari's been harshly criticised because he was part of that core that Arteta signed in one big bunch, but he was injured. And people went, oh, he signed it. He signed an injury-prone player. He's rubbish. Why is he signing this guy who's injured all the time? He was injured. You can't. He played against Portsmouth in the Cup, and who else? And you're judging him off that. We barely saw him to judge him. He had a run of games, and I think we didn't concede in any of them, did we?
No. We had 5 clean sheets.
Yeah. So
unless someone can correct us if I'm wrong, but I believe 5 clean sheets. Yeah.
Yeah. So plan A for me at the moment on current form is Mari and Holding. So before I do my plan B, I'll let you guys.
So you got Leno, you got Bellerin, you got Holding and Mari. Super Kev, over to you on the Holding and Mari combination.
Look, I think Pablo Mari's a really good player. I do, but I think the best centre half we got is Gabriel. Now, the fact of the matter is that he has been out and he's had COVID and he's just trying to play himself back in. But when you have a centre half like him, he has to play.
A few people want to know your opinion on whether or not he reads the game as well as the others. Gabriel, do you think he does?
Listen, we had no problem with him before the COVID. There was no problem about whether he can read the game or not. The issue obviously he had was he got sold short by Cedric.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get sold short, you're vulnerable. And it doesn't matter which player it is as a defender. When you get sold short and the strikers, the forwards on you, he done well to get back at him for him to put not a great ball in the box, but Holding was marking space as opposed to marking the player. Which happens. Yep. Which happens sometimes. But go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and this question's come up about Mavropanos. Does he play into your plan B, James, at all? Because he is doing well in Germany, Casey and James, and a lot of Arsenal fans are wondering during this time when there's a few injuries and David Luiz is, red carded and all those types of stuff, if we cut our nose off to spite our face. But at the same time, the reason why we send players on loan is for them to gain that experience. So does he play into your plan B? Do we know that yet? Is that?
So for me, I did try my best not to include people that are on loan because I can't.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I can't play now. However, he can't be any worse than what we've got at the moment. Mavrapa.
Do you agree with that, Kev?
Yeah, I agree with it, but I just until Mavropanos comes back in the building, that's the only way we're going to know how much he's improved. Yeah. That's the only way we're going to know.
Yeah,
and I still think we need a centre half.
I honestly, isn't it crazy? We've got Gabriel, David Luiz. Do we? Here's a question to both of you. Do we let him go in the summer?
Oh yeah,
are
we 100%?
We need a centre half.
Yeah, I think Casey's right. We do.
I think, me personally, we
should go get Sergio Ramos.
Gabriel needs a partner.
Like Sergio Ramos?
Ramos will do just fine, but Gabriel needs a partner. I think Rob Holding and Mari can play as a two perfectly. We've seen it. But when you're playing at that level...
AC, does a Rob Holding in the back make us competitive in the Premier League? And I love him. Remember, I was in LA when I said to Wenger, you've made an astute signing, and he offered me a job on his scouting team.
Should have took it.
I should have taken it. But is he... You see, also Chelsea bought in Thiago Silva. I think that's helped them. Now they have a better manager tactically than Lampard. Is he going to be the answer, Casey?
No, I've just said, Sophie, Arsenal need a centre-half to partner Gabriel. Mm-hmm. Here's the reason why. Rob Holding still makes elementary mistakes.
Yeah, he does.
And he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, he's a good player. But if we're going to be going for titles, Rob Holding is a squad player.
I agree.
He's not a starter for me.
Yeah, I agree. All right, James, back over to you.
Yeah, that's my plan B without even speaking. So thank you both.
You're welcome.
I've actually put prepared to get flamed in comments, but I think we need another centre half.
Yeah.
You know, here's the thing, like Sergio Ramos is probably going after a Real Madrid new contract. But I said to Dan Potts from Same Old Arsenal and KC on a show we did 4 months ago, knowing that he's not happy, Zidane's going to go. There's this monetary issue in Spanish football in general, but with the two giants as well. There's always been this rumor of him joining Manchester United and stuff like that. But if you want to go for a guy who's won everything and wants to be part of a project, he's the type of player that comes in, I make him captain. He has shithousery. He'll piss off other players. We don't have that enough at Arsenal. And Super Kev has always said we need a couple of not dirty players, but tough players, right, Kev?
100%. Players, listen, nobody liked playing against us. No one. Mm-hmm. But at the moment, teams love it. I mean,
look what Keown did to Val Nistelrooy at Old Trafford.
Listen, anywhere you go, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go, home or away, it don't matter. You want it, you're going to get it. It's that simple.
Right.
But we're too soft.
Yep, agree. All right, James, back over to you, mate.
Yeah, so left back, obviously, he's injured at the moment. But it's Kieran Tierney all day, every day.
He's injured a lot, James. He's injured a lot.
This is it. This is the problem. But yeah, I can't give you any more statistics to prove Kieran Tierney's great, other than just telling you to watch him. The guy for me, next to Saka, has been Arsenal's most consistent player of the whole season for me. I love Tierney. I love everything Tierney's about. I love everything he stands for. So for me, if he's fit and he's ready to go, he plays every week. Plan B for me, at the moment, it has to be Cedric. There's no one else. There's literally no one else. And I know we keep saying this about in the summer. I've put you need to sign a sub left back. Now, looking at what the rumours were in January, we were linked with Van Aanholt from Palace. I thought that's astute. I'm like, that's a good, tidy little buy. The guy's very, very good on my fantasy football. He gets me point. He's very consistent fantasy football points getter. I thought that's the type of signing that's smart. You go, right, his deal's running down. In your car.
Bring him in.
Yeah. But it didn't get done. But if you were to look in the summer and go, right, where do we want to spend the top money? Clearly, we want to spend it on the centre half, like we've just discussed. And then we'll get to where I think the other big money's got to go later on. But you can't spend big money on the left back.
And also, Casey, you say this on this show all the time. And it's not to the detriment of players that have played in Bundesliga or Serie A or La Liga or Liga or the Eredivisie or whatever. Premier League experience counts. It counts.
Especially when you're in a position like we are at Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
That's so important, because you could bring a player in who's done well elsewhere, and it takes him 6 months to a year to acclimatize. Mm-hmm. In fact, you look at our fan base, we ain't got 6 months. We ain't even got 6 hours sometimes. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But
6 minutes.
Yeah, you know, that's how desperate sometimes we are as a football club and as a fan base. But get somebody in. James is right. Get somebody who knows the Premier League. He'll be steady Eddie down that left-hand side. And he's someone, if Tierney's not there or you need to rest Tierney, he could come in and slot in and be just as good.
And we talked about Bertrand, didn't we, Casey?
Yeah.
Like people turning their noses up at Ryan Bertrand. You know, Southampton deservedly in the quarterfinals of the Cup. They've done well this year. They deserve it. But we turn our noses up at players like that.
Yeah, but we turned our nose up at Johnny Evans. You remember?
Yeah, and someone posted that.
Johnny Evans. We turned our nose up at Johnny Evans. We turned our nose up at this. We turned our nose up at that. Listen, the fan base ain't the best people to be talking about recruitment, let me tell you. No. Because they would say no. And then when you see them at other clubs, then they start saying, well, look at Leicester. Leicester are doing better. Well, we could have had one of their better players. But it's our snobbery why we don't have them. It's ridiculous.
Zamir, look, Bertrand, how do you know he'd demand more wages than Tierney? I think Bertrand's the kind of player that would love to come to play for the Arsenal. And he would, Tierney's top player. He's going to get paid mega at Arsenal in no time. And he's not doing too badly right now. This is where Arsenal fans need to just take a chill pill and kind of, take a step back. And Arnold, this is an anomaly, Willian, okay? This is one of those signings that is a once in a blue moon garbage signing. So let's just...
Look, this is what I will say, Sophie, James. Out of all the players that get signed, not every player is going to work. Right? Not every player works. That's just the way it goes sometimes. And for Willian, it hasn't worked at Arsenal at the minute. Whether it will or not, I have no idea. But the way he's playing now, it hasn't worked out. But when you consider all the players that have been signed, one player not working out against most of the others, I'll take that,
Partey's worked out, Gabriel's worked out, Tierney's worked out. Cedric was injured when he came. Mari was injured when he came, but he's worked out now. Mari's worked out now. So you could argue that maybe some of the signings we've made recently have worked out, whether they came to us injured or not and we're ready to play. That's just part of football.
Yeah.
James, keep going. You're going to go to are you going
midfield
now?
I'm doing the midfield, yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Again, here we go. Comments. I'm ready for all of you. Let's go. Plan A for me, when they're fit, obviously, I want to add a caveat when they're all fully fit.
Well, hold on. What system are you playing, please?
I'm doing the same as what we're doing now. So obviously there's 2 centre mids, creative attacking midfielder, 2 wingers, and a centre forward.
Right. So it's 4-3-3.
And a four at the back.
So it's 4-3-3 with 2 holding mids.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. So it's Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey all day, every day for me. They're the 2 when fully fit. Thomas Partey, the day he signed for the club, he was already better than everyone that we had in that midfield to begin with. He was better than all of them. The minute that he had that shirt up and we got him, he's better than all of them. The problem is, I feel we've played him when he's not fully fit. He went 7 years without missing 3 or more games. And within 5 months of being at Arsenal, he's now injured for a considerable amount of time again. So, it's just unfortunate circumstances. You got to ride that. Granit Xhaka, I know the guy's limitations. Everyone knows the guy's limitations. However, he's always going to play for Arsenal until we get an upgrade or he decides he's had enough and leaves himself. From everything that I see, from everything I hear, from everything I read, that guy is the best trainer at the club, according to all the players, according to coaching staff. Apparently, he's a very, very nice guy to just speak to. Apparently, he's very pleasant.
Are you talking about Xhaka?
Yeah, Granit Xhaka. Yeah. The manager trusts the player. Again, I come back to that fundamental of trust. He loves the player. And the players trust him. You've got to remember, it was only a couple of years ago, they all voted for him to be the captain. So they trust that guy.
James, let me interrupt real quick.
Yeah, go.
I've said this before. I see it with Xhaka. We saw it here. You can ask any of the Arsenal America fan base that were here that followed the entire team across the country when they did this tour. Xhaka was the leader. He was the guy. You could see why Emery wanted him as captain at that time. The way he interacted, he was super class. He carried himself beautifully. And there were I actually thought he and Mkhitaryan were the best. And Mkhitaryan's not with the club anymore. Aubameyang also was, really cool with everybody. But Xhaka was the leader. And I know it's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of Arsenal fans because of what's happened. But you could say Emery, Casey, set him up to fail in a few ways. But at the same time, his own reactions didn't help him. But adversity is very important, and overcoming adversity and admitting that you've made mistakes and moving on. Has he not earned the stripes to be able to play right now for the Arsenal, especially when he's paired and looks better with a player like Thomas Partey?
I think Xhaka has looked a lot better. Besides,
doesn't mean he's the answer for the future.
No,
Casey.
of course not. But you're just talking about now, yeah.
Exactly now. Plan A.
Xhaka has looked better. No, but I don't think any fan could say Xhaka hasn't looked better beside Thomas Partey. I don't think anybody could say that. My issue with, obviously, Granit Xhaka, I don't even want to get into the past. For me, I don't see, is he creative? I've seen him play one forward pass and I was like, to Pepe at
You lost
Southampton.
your mind that day, didn't you?
Yeah, I lost my mind that day because he actually played a ball into a player in the box who could score. I was shocked. For me, he's not consistent enough in what he does. He is not. We need to know, one, he can do box to box. Two, he can give a steady supply to our forwards. And three, he can be a threat in the box. If one midfielder is going to be sitting, one of them's got to be getting forward and be shooting. And let's be honest, he can shoot, but we don't see it enough.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see it anywhere near enough. So I think Xhaka's a decent player, but if we're going to be winning titles, it's proven over the years, Xhaka's not the answer in my eyes.
James.
Yeah, no, again, agree with all of that. So I've put here that, he's too Jekyll and Hyde. But after his sending off versus Burnley, I think he's played much, much better. And I'm judging it off what we have now and what we can do now. The plan B, which for me is going to be plan B this weekend because we know Partey's gone. Well, he's injured, sorry, not gone, but it's Danny Ceballos. Now, I would put Danny Ceballos next to Xhaka because, and I do like El Neni, but El Neni is he's a £5 million player. So Xhaka and El Neni for me, especially against Leeds, is too safe, and it lacks that little cutting edge that Ceballos gives. Creatively, we've made the 6th most passes in the league, but we've had the 15th most shots.
Wait, so, in the entire league?
Yeah. We've got the 7th most goals inside the box. So it shows that when we do have good service, we're in the top 7 at it. For me, Ceballos, what he lacks in athleticism compared to El Neni, because El Neni can run. Danny Ceballos is slow as well. I'm sorry, I look at Danny Ceballos. I've got a Westie, and we took it out in the snow the other day, and how it pitter-patters in the snow is how Danny Ceballos looks to me when he runs. No disrespect to the guy, he can probably run a hell of a lot faster than me.
Yeah, no, he's good at holding the ball and keeping the ball, but it doesn't necessarily mean
he's a good technical player.
Yeah, it's very good technical. Well done,
yeah.
Casey.
And if you look at his numbers, he's very good at winning the ball high up. So if we do like we've seen where we play a good press, when he wins that ball higher up, pass it quick 2 feet, not in the air, 2 feet to one of them forwards, get them in behind. Or do you know what I mean? And then maybe they can slot the other one in. I'm trying to remember the game. He slotted the ball in quite late to Eddie Nketiah, and he tucked it in earlier this season. He won it high up and then slotted him in. That
wasn't Southampton, was it? Anyway.
No, Aubameyang scored.
Aubameyang scored against Southampton. Yeah. Well, Eddie's not the answer, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But we all agree that plan extra B, we've got to get a partner for Partey in the summer. Do we agree on that, James?
Yes, and this is where again I go back to my.
Whoa!
You want to do the 10 first before?
No, I want to talk about Ceballos because Ceballos isn't our player.
No, he's not. Sheffield United, thank you. Patrice, Sheffield,
he's not our player, Ceballos, and he's going to go back. He's going to go back to Real Madrid. So for now, he's in the rotation, but moving forward, he probably won't be there. So you're gonna have to. I hope you've legislated for this, James. You're gonna have to pick 2.
Now you're gonna have to answer to KC, James.
Yeah. So So do I stick with the centre mids, or do you want to do the creative midfielder and then do all the plan Bs?
Stick with
the centres. Okay.
Yeah.
So long-term plan B for me this summer, you go down Brighton and you say, I ain't leaving this room until we have Basuma signed on this piece of paper right here, right now. That is the guy. We don't need...
Getting my checkbook out.
for me...
Chase! Sign that Chase check, baby!
For me, we need the athleticism and the power. We need the men. We don't need the intricacy and the nice stuff. In that too, we need Thomas Partey fully fit, raring, and Basuma next to him. And if that doesn't happen, then if he has a good time on loan at West Brom, playing centre mid like he wants to, Ainsley Maitland-Niles can take... If I was Ainsley Maitland-Niles now, I'd be kicking myself knowing that Partey's injured for a considerable amount of time, because he could have got them minutes in the centre mid.
How long is he injured for, you guys? This is bad. This is so bad.
It's not
3 or 4 weeks, no?
It's not serious, but what they don't... You see, again, what they don't want to do is they tried it against Spurs, take the risk on him, he breaks down and it's longer. So you might as well give him the extra time, give him another week, and then because he was intention for Sunday's game. So if you give him another week, then he's going to be right.
Mm-hmm. And also as well, I like the Miguel Aziz kid. When I watched him in the Europa, when he come on, I think it was against... I'm trying to remember who it was.
The Irish team.
No, it was the one. It was the
Mulder.
Mulder. Sorry, yeah. And speaking as purely a fan, with you, I haven't got the trained eye like you, Kevin, but I've got the the excitement.
You've got the fan eye. Excitement that a young player.
But there's something when you look and you see, and you're like, that guy's got whatever it is. That I feel Aziz, if we don't loan him out and we keep him in, that's a guy we need to utilise on, because I believe that guy's special.
So funny you mentioned Aziz. Avon just mentioned him. Yeah.
In only a small time that I've watched him play, even under 23, I'm like, you're just class. Like you exemplify what we miss. But no, honestly, long-term plan B, just go buy Basuma, please, because Liverpool, if they sell Wijnaldum, they're going to do it, and we'll be so upset, because that is the man.
There's a lot of fans mentioning Souček. They'd love to see Souček, who's been a revelation. It's too late now. It's too late. And it's too late as well, though, in essence. Souček is the kind of... I thought he was like 30-something. He looks older, but he's not. He's still young. You know what I mean?
He's been scoring as well, hasn't he?
He's been scoring as well. And a lot of people think Partey and Basuma could be the next Vieira and Silva.
You know me, Soph.
I know. You've been saying it for months. You've been saying it since the beginning of the season.
Man, I do. Yeah. I like Basuma. He offers toughness. He's good on the ball. He can shoot. He can run. And you know what? He's a nasty piece of work. Do you remember when we played them after lockdown down there? He kicked the living daylights out of us down there. And I think he got booked eventually right at the death. But he put himself about.
Yeah, I think he made 14 tackles before they booked him.
Yeah,
there you go.
Amazing.
That says it all.
Just want to give a shout out to Zaid, who's watching us from Jordan.
Hey.
He says, my worry with Arsenal is the ability of creating chances and the creative plays on the pitch. We barely create anything for our strikers, which leads us into where James is going next.
Yes. So, central attacking midfield. There's a pattern with the younger players. Semel Smith-Rowe all day, every day. For me, the guy.
He's plan A.
This is your plan A. Yeah, plan A.
Since the guy's come in, faultless. What I would say is I do not feel that his minutes are being managed as well as they should be. Against Aston Villa, I think he should have been hooked off. When he was being put out wide, then put as like another number 8 and everything else, I just thought that was a bit too hectic for me, and I would have took him away, and I'd have put Ceballos on in that game. Funny enough,
I'm going to jump in real quick, James, because Casey actually thought that ESR should have been rested in that game, and Odegaard should have started. So
yeah, I said the same.
Yeah,
I said the same on another podcast as well.
But you see, James, and this is the problem that fans have to understand. Sometimes the manager will want to manage his minutes sometimes, but when the result is going against you, you have to keep your most creative players on the pitch who can make a difference at the top end of the pitch. Sometimes that's what you have to do. And obviously, you talk about the eye test. Sometimes when you're watching the game and you think, actually, do you know what? I'd rather keep Smith Rowe on because he's got that ability to just play a quick pass and get a 1-2 and then something opens up. Whereas Ceballos, it's a bit deeper. Whereas, you know, the Aston Villa defense, for instance, will see it coming. Whereas Smith Rowe will do it really quick around them. So that's sometimes
it just looked like he was it just looked like he was blowing for me though, Kevin.
Yeah,
I just was like, what's he got in his legs? For me, the injury record and everything else, I'm like, he's going to run that race too much. I don't want him hurt. He's so important.
James, they will be blowing, but it only takes one bit of quality to get that goal or to open up an opportunity. All the players will be blowing because they had a game in the midweek and then they're playing early on the Saturday.
Yeah.
So it's they're going to be blowing. But again, it's the trust that the manager had in him to play him. If it was up to me, I said I would have played Odegaard, but he didn't. He felt it was right to keep Smith Rowe on because they were chasing the game.
And can players like this, KC, James, be on the pitch at the same time? Niagara Falls, Gooners. If you haven't been to the Niagara Falls, you should go. It's beautiful. Martinelli and Odegaard. And we've talked about Odegaard maybe and ESR playing together. We've talked about these players. KC, can they play together?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course they can. They're good. They're good players. The key to it is always, and James is going to go through it, he's having the right balance. It's always about balance in the team. If we're unbalanced, like we are at the minute, we go up, we play well one day, then next day, next game we don't play well. And you think, are these the same players that went on a run of 5-6 games unbeaten? And then
That's
you
the
see them.
thing.
Yeah, it's frustrating for us.
Yeah,
all right.
And then the additional plan B is obviously Odegaard because we're not seeing enough of him. So give him a run out there. I mean, the comment you put up a minute ago about can him and Martinelli play together? Of course they can. One's a feeder, the other's the finisher. Stick them together. There you go. So of course
I hope that he gets I'd start him against Leeds. Would you guys start him against Leeds? Just throw him out there. What have we got to lose? Throw him out there.
Odegaard?
Odegaard, yeah.
Yeah, he's starting. He'll start for me.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, if Smith Rowe isn't, then like who else? It's got to be him. It's got to be him. And the third, obviously, the other plan B is Willian in that role because that was what we originally signed him for. We didn't sign him to play as a wide player. He was meant to be an additional creative midfielder. He's still the highest assister out of all the midfielders and the wingers. So
now you're going to turn you're going to turn the chat box.
Wait, this guy is going. No, he's not in. Listen,
I'm not saying
in my
play.
plan. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Willian has no place in Arsenal, and that's just me.
That's nice, Sophie. Well done.
All I'm saying is he's not an option for me either. However, it's a third one if there's no Smith Rowe, if there's no Odegaard. Willian's the third best. You know, Joe Willock's just gone to Newcastle. So there is no other player there. And then if you're looking at it long term in the summer, I would say if Odegaard does well, buy him.
I think Arsenal have an option. I know it's not written in the contract, but I think Odegaard, he went back early from his loan to get involved. It hasn't worked out. Real Madrid are depleted as anything, by the way. They've got injuries everywhere, and they've loaned him out. So obviously he's not in Zidane's plans. I think this is a, try before you buy type thing. And I think this kid's good enough. I really do. I think he's good enough. So, again, you can mix and match moving forward. But, look, Willian for me has been a good player at Chelsea, but he's done nothing at Arsenal, has he? Let's be honest. So, let's move on.
I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? They're once in a... Every club has had one. And right now, here's the problem. If he keeps trying to push him in, if he comes on and scores a wonder goal against Spurs in the North London derby, all will be forgotten. That's the only game that if he comes on and has an impact and scores a winning goal, is the only chance Arsenal fans will have to say, you know what? You gave us that moment. We're good with you now. But we still don't want you to play for the Arsenal. I think he's that level of polarizing, James. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just want to caveat because I've seen the comments come through.
I know.
Oh, there's a nice one there.
Behind you, Team
James,
Thomas. Right there. Thomas from Norway.
Thomas. Yeah, I just want to caveat with saying that he was my third plan B, not the plan B. He was the third plan B as a cam. So before everybody goes nuts thinking, oh my God, he wants to play Willian.
We know where you're coming from. So
Thank
we
you.
get it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
So,
keep going.
Are we all happy? There's no you want to add?
We're all happy. You're listening to the Highbury Squad. This is the Lockdown Series, Volume 2, Episode 26. Do Arsenal have a plan B? Do they have a plan B? A plan A or plan B? We will see. James is presenting it to Super Kevin Campbell right here. Some fantastic dialogue, great comments from everyone in chat. And this week we're doing a reality check inspired by Kev on where Arsenal are at. And so what James is doing is saying, based on what we know, this is the best scenario. Based on what we have, this is what we could do. But then based on what we might be able to buy, this is where the Arsenal could go. So really good stuff so far. Carry on, James.
Right. So we're going to do strikers now. Now, this is where I do feel pressure. Because we have an Arsenal legend striker here, so I am ready. I'm just gonna quickly have some Buxton.
Yeah, have some.
Right. So my current plan A. Now I'm basing this on form. It's literally on form. So I have Saka on the right hand side. I have Lacazette down the middle, and I have Pepe on the left. All three currently produce our best numbers. However, with the outlay that was made on Aubameyang in the summer and the fact he's captain, it would not shock me on Saturday if Mikel Arteta took Pepe out and put Aubameyang back in on the left-hand side. Now, if we can up the tempo, like I said earlier, just in terms of with Ceballos obviously covering, if we can just up that tempo a bit, Aubameyang, hopefully, and he should, come back to the Aubameyang of old. For me, Aubameyang is a fantastic finisher, but I don't think overall he's a fantastic footballer. Now, and I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm just saying that as in everything else as that element. He's not that guy. He's not that guy. He isn't that guy for me. So if he comes into a team that's playing fast, smart, attacking football, and it's ruthless and clinical, he's going to have that smile back on his face. He's going to go back doing front flips. He's going to keep doing dancing, and we're going to get the Aubameyang of old. Martinelli, I also feel, is best suited to the left-hand side. He can play centre forward, and I do believe he is arguably quite good in the air. However, he is the closest thing I've seen to Sanchez and Mark Overmars since I've been watching. Martinelli has those same attributes in terms of tenacity, wanting that ball, driving that ball, and getting in there and getting about it. So that's where I feel. Yeah. So Saka, again, is like Smith Rowe for me, and the right-hand side was never his position to get, and it was never his position to begin with. But that guy has such immense work ethic and class that he's gone, that is my position, and take it off me. And he's, what, 19? He's 19. He's got the swagger going. You established players, you people on £180,000 a week, you come take my place, because you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. And like Smith Rowe, like Tierney when I said he's fit, like Partey when I said he's fit, one of the first names that you put on the team sheet. So that is my plan A at the moment, would be Pepe still on the left, Lacazette down the middle, Saka on the right.
So what's your plan B?
What is your plan B?
You guys don't want to jump in with your plan A?
No,
you agree?
we want you to start, and then we're going to come in. Don't you worry about that.
Okay. So the plan Bs, in terms of the right-hand side, again, you got Pepe. I believe he is better on the left now. I thought he was great last season on the right, but for some reason this year, much better on the left. So it leaves Willian again. Calm down. And you've also got Reece Nelson. Mm-hmm. Now, for me, Reece Nelson hasn't really got as much of a chance as I'd like to see him get. I feel that he's probably one that holds value and could potentially be cast away. However, I'd like to see him play more before we do that. I think that he might be sold because he does hold value, and I would like to see him. I would like to see him get more games. Willian, do I need to add any more from what we said about him as an option at creative midfield? I don't think he's an option even out wide.
Yeah, I think Willian's someone who can play there, but won't play there. Not in the scheme of things moving forward. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. And Sophie, you tell me if you remember me saying it. Mm-hmm. We need another wide player.
I think so. KC, you've mentioned Zaha many times.
Yep, I have. I've mentioned Zaha. We need a threat, a real threat from wide. I know Saka can do it on the right-hand side, but he's young. He's 19 years old. And is he gifted? Has he been carrying the team? Yeah. But that's the problem. The problem is we've got a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old carrying Arsenal football team. It won't work. Mm-hmm. Because when it comes to tight games, like against Villa, we're relying on these two youngsters when really it should be the experienced players who should be performing.
And KC, I think the good example is to show, look, Rashford's been good, Greenwood's been good, but the burden's too much sometimes. Hence, Cavani comes in, takes the burden off them a little bit. Even Martial, he's such a talented player, but he can't do it game after game after game. And he's way older than Saka and all those other players, Kev.
And what we got to understand, and what also, Sophie, it's a really good point you make. What we got to understand is as well, they're obviously older and more experienced. They talk about all international players there.
Yes.
We're relying on, two kids and maybe a Martinelli as well chucked in, who's one's been injured, two from Hale End. Saka now is an England international who can play left back, left mid, left wing, right wing. He could put him anywhere he could do the business. Okay, That's one thing he can do. But Arsenal Football Club, I mentioned it at the start about Runnison coming into the football club and the size. Arsenal Football Club should not be relying on a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old.
Right.
No chance.
I agree. And also someone like Zaha, let's be honest, right? It's very rare these days. How many players really take on players and dribble, Kevin? How many in the league do that?
There ain't many.
There aren't many.
But you know something, Sophie, and this is a technical point that I want to put to everybody. When you have a wide player who can consistently beat his man,
yeah,
all of a sudden it collapses the defense. Because when he beats his player, centre halves have to move. Because if you leave him, he's going to go straight for goal. So they might be attached to the striker, but all of a sudden they have to start adjusting. And that's where the strikers start getting free. But when you don't have somebody who can beat his man consistently, the defense just stay as they are. They stay intact.
Yeah.
You know, they stay tight. Come on, break us down. And that's what Arsenal were doing against Villa. They were crossing loads of balls. Do you reckon Konsa and Tyrone Mings didn't like, they were like licking their lips?
They were loving it. Absolutely loving it.
Adding everything.
A lot of our listeners are saying, and you know, Winston's one, Nana's another one. There's a few of them saying they'd rather Neto from Wolves than someone like Zaha. I mean, Zaha's got all the experience in the league. You're not going to get Neto, and Neto's going to go for more. I think in market value, he would go for more than Zaha now.
Yeah, we're not going to get Neto. I'm telling you now. They've obviously the link that's going on at Wolves with these players. We're not going to get Neto. I'm telling you now. Zaha's a gooner. Zaha, we need somebody, one who can relate to the club, because this has been the problem with what's been going on the last 12, 15 years. We're bringing these so-called names
that don't give 2 zeros about the club.
About the club.
Yeah.
You know, and listen, I'm not saying Neto's not a good player, because I think Neto is a top player. But whether Neto comes in and feels right at Arsenal, I don't know, but I know Zaha would.
For me, Zaha's one of those. It's like the scene from Wolf of Wall Street. I'll do the whole thing, but we don't have time. I'm already into Sophie time, people. James, carry on, mate. Keep going.
I think DJ Tony knows Zaha, so maybe we can try and get him on the job.
Well,
see if he can.
DJ Tony's family, so we can
exactly. See if we can.
Listen, I don't think we need anybody to ask Zaha to come.
Neither do I.
Make the move. We just have to make the move. It will be costly. Of course, it will be costly. But when you get somebody who's a gooner, who knows the Premiership, who has carried Palace. That's the other thing.
He really has, Kevin.
He's carried Palace season after season.
He has.
We need
They'd
somebody
be relegated without him, wouldn't they, Kev?
Yes,
They'd be relegated without him.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Kev, people like this kid too, though. He's talented.
Yeah, as he's talented, but he's not. For me, he needs to do it at Palace. Zaha is ready now. He's ready now.
And the Arsenal Football Club need to buy ready-made players in order to challenge in the Premier League again. And you're right, Matty. We're not leaving. We're not going anywhere. You're absolutely right. James, back to you, mate.
Yeah, so I forgot to actually do the main centre forward. So obviously mine is Lacazette. I've put that because he tops the leaderboard, and he's the main man down the middle for us at the moment. For me, if he can stay up top instead of dropping a bit further back to help, I think we do much better. I think he's actually quite ruthless in the box. People give him enough props for how good he is in the box. For me, when I used to watch him years and years ago, I wanted him at Arsenal for a long time. I used to want him when he had the braids, when he was at Lyon. And he reminded me when I was watching him at Lyon and in France youth games, he reminded me of Jermaine Defoe. He really used to remind me of Defoe a lot. Yeah. And that's where I sort of want him for us. I want him in that box. You know, like you said earlier, Kevin, with Smith Rowe, 1-2, bang, goal. That's sort of just quick. But
sharp football. Sharp.
Yeah, but he keeps dropping in because it's like he has to try.
And that's the problem, you see, James. We're not good enough in midfield to take control. So Laka has to come in there and knit things together.
Go on, Casey. Go on, Casey. No. I was going to say, I agree with this. I think what you said, Kev, you've said it before. Laka's going to be sold in the summer. I feel it.
Yeah, listen, I just think there has to be a ruthless. There has to be a ruthless edge to what happens next. Because for me, I don't believe. I think Laka's a good player, and Laka can do, and when it's quick, sharp, 1-1-1-1-1. but we're not flexible enough. We are not flexible enough as a attacking force. And there's going to be times where we need to put crosses in the box. We've got nobody to head it.
No.
You know,
Yep.
so Aubameyang, at the moment, there's Lacazette and Aubameyang and maybe a Martinelli. Balogun got mentioned, but it's not happening because he's not signing. So let's forget that one.
I think KC Lacaz's going to be like an Emmy. We don't want him to go. We never wanted to sell Emmy, but we had to in order for the fact that market value, we're getting top dollar. Lacazette might be the sacrificial lamb this summer.
Sophie, here's one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can keep Lacazette and add, because
then we got to sell Xhaka or an El Neni and Bellerin.
No. What I'm saying is maybe we don't need to sell anybody, because remember, what we're trying to do is build a squad of players.
But what about wages, Casey? Can we afford that?
We've just got rid of a load of waste players, deadwood. We've created a massive amount of wages there on the inside of the football club now. And it's how they manage it now. They've got to manage it. Yeah, we might not be able to pay big money in transfer fees. Mm-hmm. But how do you combat that? You have to sign players maybe on free contracts, or players who are running down their deals where you can actually move and shake. So
I would actually sell Bellerin before I sold Lacazette at this point.
Look, of course, but we're talking about different departments now.
Yes,
and
different needs.
We need to be more flexible at the top end of the pitch, because we've been putting in cross after cross after cross after cross after cross. We haven't got a striker up there who can attack it and head it and make a nuisance, even just make a nuisance of himself. Because sometimes you actually don't need to win it. You just need to put the body on some of these defenders so they don't just punch it out of the box with their head and the ball starts dropping down to a Lacazette who could finish. Mm-hmm. But we don't have that physicality up there. I mentioned Lukaku, a Lukaku type, somebody like that.
We love that.
Who could hold it, who's strong, who could scare defenses. But when you play against us, who do we scare? We don't scare anybody.
No one has that shuddering at the team sheet when it comes out and stuff like that. And I agree with who just wrote this before I go back to James here. Sunil, you're right. Lacazette is a selfless player. He's our Bobby Firmino. Listen, he doesn't have Sane and Salah because and Lacazette doesn't have that, but he is as selfless as Firmino. And what he does off the ball.
He's an ultimate team player, yeah. He is.
He really is. Yeah. James, we're going to start wrapping this up. What you got left?
Yeah, so as quick as I possibly can. The other plan Bs that I've got who are here now is Nketiah is the other main upfront option. Now, I see potential in Nketiah. I think I'm one of the only people that do. I know a lot of people don't, but I see potential there.
It goes to chat again.
I see potential there. However, execution as well as the expectation, I feel is too high, and I don't think he's going to make it. Sadly, I don't think he's going to. Especially with the way we're
Casey take this one.
The way we're playing at the moment, he's never gonna slot in with us at the moment. The way we're playing, he's not strong enough in his hold up and the heading of the ball.
James, so I have a question for you. You see the potential, but then you're saying he's not going to make it with us. What is it? It's either he's got the potential or he's not going to make it with us.
Because he's got potential in a system that we don't play. If we're going to keep going,
potential to play for Brighton, not Arsenal.
If we're going to play the way we're playing, he ain't going to fit with us. I can tell that he'll go somewhere else and he'll score goals for fun. But he's never going to do it in this. If we're going to carry on the way we're going.
So okay, what system suits him then?
I believe if you've got someone else with him that can head, like if we got a big man like we keep talking about, and we're pumping the crosses in, he heads them down and Nketiah taps it in. If you've done it Heskey and Owen. Now, I'm not saying Nketiah's Michael Owen before everyone goes absolutely mental, but that's the sort of comparison I make. If you've got someone that holds him up and brings him in a 2, there you go, poacher, second strike. That's it. That's it. And we're never going to do that.
We're never going to play that way.
But the problem with what you're talking about is how many teams play with 2 strikers?
I know. That's it.
We wanted it. We mentioned it for what, about a year now, Sophie. About we've got Aubameyang and Lacazette.
Yeah.
As a pair, they would cause major problems.
Mm-hmm.
But the system is like Aubameyang has to play wide left, and Lacazette plays up the middle, and they're far apart. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then the long term.
Yeah.
Got to buy someone, and if it can be done, Lukaku. If not him, and you want to go for someone a bit different, I recommend Marcus Thuram. But if not,
I love Thuram.
But my rogue choice,
my
rogue choice, and if there's anyone in the chat that knows this guy, I'll be so impressed. Is Ludovic Ajor from Strasbourg in Liga. The guy is 6'6". He scored 10 goals and has 4 assists so far this season. This guy's hitting overheads. He's hitting headers. He's hitting scissor kick goals. He is the guy that is waiting for someone to just grab him and place him somewhere. I don't think he's on the radar of their national team.
If anyone in chat says they know you, James, they'll be lying.
Ludovic Ajor. This is a guy that's waiting to come on the scene. I think he's 20. I think he's about 26, 27, but he's waiting for a club to just throw down on him and unleash him because he's far better than the level he's playing at the moment.
Well, here's a problem. Work permit stuff, because now remember we're not in the European Union now. This is all changing. This is all the working thing. Players who are coming in have to be internationals, have to play 75% of their international for their national side to be able to come in and get a work permit. So again, all the ecosystem of players it's changed again, hasn't it? So that could be a difficult one, James.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's Lukaku all day, every day. You've seen what he does with Kevin De Bruyne. Put him with Croydon De Bruyne, and he'll do the same.
I don't have any strikers for you, but I do have a player that I would love for us to buy at right back. His name is Julian Araujo. Please go and check him out. I've watched him covering LA Galaxy here for months. And he can play on that right side, and he can play also as a midfield right. You guys will correct me on the correct terminology for that, but he can do both. Right midfielder, Casey. He is so talented. Spurs looked at buying him, and I was horrified. My heart sank. I almost wanted to just stick needles in my eyes when I heard that they were interested in him. Sorry, James, go on.
Yeah, is Pavon still at LA Galaxy?
Pavon,
Is he still? Because I remember we were linked with him.
Yeah.
Gone back to Boca Juniors and LA Galaxy trying to make a deal with him right now, but there's a lot of European sides that are still interested in Pavon, and he is. Zlatan looked me straight in the eyes. I was standing like this. I could feel Zlatan's breath in my face where he said, "This guy," and he actually said, and a lot of people got upset, "He's too good for MLS. One day, some team in Europe's going to come grab him." And he's the type of guy that Casey's talking about. He's unafraid. He dribbles. He takes on players. And he can score wonder goals from outside the box. But he also allows for the fact that he holds the ball for so long that he creates space for other team members, because then he's swarmed. He takes 2 defenders with him all the time. And he's so talented. So I would say, to answer your question, Sunil, check out Pavon and also check out Julian Araujo, because the 2 of them are really super talented. Very much so. And at this point, in terms of money, you guys would be a bargain compared to some of the other players that we see in Europe and what their market value is.
Yeah.
And brilliant stuff. Go on, James. Bring it close to it.
I didn't do Balogun because, he's not an option unless he signs a contract. He's not an option. And Eddie gets a lot of harsh criticism because people say that he takes Balogun's minutes. Balogun's took Balogun's minutes. That's what people need to learn.
Yeah,
It's his fault. It's not Eddie's fault. It's it's not even the manager's fault. It's literally a fact of that he's like, you sign that and I'll play you. Until then, it's not happening.
and there's the other thing about Eddie. We send Eddie on loan for him to get minutes. He goes to Leeds. He hardly plays. He comes back, and Mikel Arteta uses him because he needs to use him. But the problem is, Eddie Nketiah's, what is he, 21 now, 2021? He hasn't played 6 months of football.
No.
He's had no consistent game, week in, week out. These guys don't do that. How can you develop? How can Reece Nelson develop? Willock's only just gone on loan. How can these lads develop without playing? It's virtually impossible.
No.
The fact that Saka's developing is because Saka's playing. Smith Rowe's developing because now Smith Rowe's playing. But, not everybody can hit the first team ground like that. Eddie Nketiah needs to go on loan and needs to learn his trade.
Yeah.
Reece Nelson needs to learn his trade. Willock needed to learn. Now he's on loan, which is great. He scored a goal on his day. Fantastic, brilliant. But, these guys need to experience football away from Arsenal.
Kevin, would you loan these players domestically though? Because we don't seem to do it. I look at the other clubs, like look at Chelsea. They've given Barkley to Aston Villa, and he's taking points off their rivals. Even though Chelsea dipped, they're still there and thereabouts because they've sent players. I want Arsenal to loan players domestically. I want them to hurt the other teams.
Look, it all depends who wants them.
Yeah.
Now we've seen Willock obviously go and hurt Southampton, which helps us.
Yeah, I agree. Us. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Now, if a team wants a Reece Nelson, great. But for me, you've got all these players in and around the first team and a Reece Nelson there, and he's probably third or fourth choice. Get him out on loan. Mm-hmm. It's going to help the football club come the summer. Because if he has a bad 6 months, then he's not quite of the level. Then, obviously, you can move him on. But if he has a good 6 months, it's either you keep him or his value goes up. We've got to be smarter. We've got to be smarter with these youngsters.
That's it. That's the recruitment altogether has to be smarter.
Yeah.
Listen, sorry, Sophie.
No, go on.
This is going back to the reality of what our club is. We bring in Sven Mislintat, who's got an unbelievable record at Dortmund. Who did he bring into our football club? Who?
Socrates.
We're bringing Raul Sanelli.
He did bring Aubameyang, didn't he?
But listen, we bought Aubameyang, great. But I'm saying these are supposed to be guru type guys who are going to make Arsenal better. We bring Sven Mislintat in, we bring Raul Sanelli in. Now they're not there and Edu's there. We've got and we're still having to pay players off to leave our football club.
No, it's kind of crazy. I just wanted to answer this question too, because living here in the US, there is a huge influx of US talent in Europe right now. And let me tell you something, you guys. This is where Arsenal have missed the boat a little bit. You got Tyler Adams at RB Leipzig. You got Zach Steffen, who has a goalkeeper. Let me tell you something. He's deputized for Manchester City. Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart.
And was excellent, by the way.
And was excellent.
Excellent.
Why am I having a brain fart about the
Edison?
Edison. Thank you. You've got Pulisic at Chelsea, who was a little bit more expensive. Weston McKennie, who is on loan to Juventus from Schalke, playing with Ronaldo, has been a sensation this season. Gio Reyna, playing for Borussia Dortmund. His dad, Claudio Reyna,
top player,
played in the Premier League. Yep. And then you've also got Tyler Adams. I may have mentioned him, but let me tell you something to answer your question, LG92. This is where we need to like chip away. Alphonso Davies, thank you so much, Virginia. Came from MLS as well. And now he's at Bayern Munich.
Bayern Munich are doing really well, yeah.
The US are going to have a team. Maybe not the next World Cup, but they're going to have a team that will put it out there. But you see, the next 8 to 10 years, this team's going to evolve, and this is where Kevin and I talk about a lot, where the Arsenal snobbery has to be kicked to the curb, because there are a lot of great players outside of our universe. There's a reason why Arsenal got rid of their scouting team. You guys, they didn't do it to be cruel, did they, Kev?
No chance, because when you look at what we've got.
Okay, he came from Canada, but he played in MLS. Come on.
Everyone's hungry, Sophie. And we go to the cupboards. There's nothing in the cupboards. There's nothing in the fridge. There's nothing in the freezer. We try and turn the tap on. There's sawdust coming out of the taps. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
It is ridiculous. So, again, that's why the club has to be rebuilt.
Yep.
It has to be rebuilt from top to bottom, culture, squad, team, mentality, all of the above. It has to be rebuilt. And we also, don't forget, Sophie, Dest.
Oh, my goodness. Talk about missed out on a player there.
We missed a player.
He would have been a 10-year player, like Tierney. Imagine Tierney and Dest together.
Oh, wow. Dest is brilliant. He's brilliant.
He's brilliant. And you cover La Liga and you know this. So
he's brilliant. He is brilliant.
And yes, it's true. Gio Reyna supports Arsenal too. I mean, unbelievable. So look, James, KC, he smashed it, did he not?
James done excellent. Listen, there ain't many things I disagreed.
Yes.
There ain't many things I disagreed with you on, to be fair, James. Yeah. I've got to say, yeah. There ain't many things I disagree on.
We've had 250 at some point, 3+ in chat tonight. We're so grateful to you. Thank you so much for joining us. James, you smashed it. Some really good points and some great data and analytics that you brought to the table that everyone really enjoyed. And everyone has really enjoyed you. And, we'll be doing a lot more of this. And we love... people like James, Anu, who's been on the show, Jess, who you guys experienced a couple of weeks ago, MK as well, and Taylor from the Arsenal Los Angeles, bringing in young, informative, smart Arsenal people who really have a future in doing what we do too. So whatever we can do to support you, we are here. Well done, James.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much. I really, honestly, that's very kind. So nice of you guys. Thank you.
No,
amazing. Yeah, good stuff. And don't forget, you guys. Oh, here's the question. You have to email us at thehighburysquad@gmail.com to put your hat in the ring to win this. Okay. It's only like $3 or $4 to put your hat in the ring. Footballprizes.co.uk. They give away amazing Arsenal memorabilia. But in order to put your hat in the ring, we're giving away a free ticket. And I'll let you know tomorrow if you've won. And your hat will be in the ring to win this Aubameyang signed memorabilia. All you have to do, email us, thehighburysquad@gmail.com. How old was Super Kevin Campbell when he made his debut for the Arsenal? How old was Super Kevin Campbell when he made his debut at the Arsenal? Email us at thehighburysquad@gmail.com and you could find yourself potentially winning the Aubameyang memorabilia from Football Prizes, our partners and sponsors of the show. Listen, we've given you a radio style show today, a good hour and a half, but it's the best hour and a half that you'll spend. Jason Parbury, we hope you've enjoyed it too. Don't forget to go and enjoy our Instagram. Super Kev, I'm going to let you have the last words here, mate.
Listen, Jason, thank you for all tuning in with all the people in chat. And we wish you well, and we're glad that we could be of service. Thanks to James and thanks to Sophie for coming on. And hey, James was excellent, I thought. But this is what I will say. We all want the same thing for Arsenal. So come on, you Gunners!